will cover legal resources on LexisNexis Academic. On the default page for LexisNexis Academic, which is the Easy Search page, on the first row, the third box, will allow you to conduct legal research from a number of different jurisdictions. So this nice little pull down where it reads by jurisdiction, I can search all jurisdictions: Asia, European Union, France, International, UK, and US. But what I'm going to search is European Union, and I want to do some research that involves free speech. So I'm going to type in free speech. But it's always a good idea to think of at least one or two synonyms. And free speech is also known as freedom of speech. So I'm going to do my free speech or freedom of speech. And I'm using my OR connector where I'm telling the system to look for one or the other. Look for that free speech or freedom of speech. I'm going to click on my blue box that reads Go. And the system will go out and it's going to search those European Union. One of the great features that you will have on the left side is the capability to look at your documents based on different categories, based on different types of information. So I'm going to click on the box with the plus sign in front of cases. So it will expand. So this will allow me to see the different jurisdictions that I retrieve cases from and how many. So I'm going to click where it says European court cases selected by Butterworth so I can retrieve just those 3 cases. And as you will see, the system went out and it retrieved cases that mentions either free speech or freedom of speech. I want you to be aware that your search terms will be in bold and in red. And also down at the bottom on the right side, you're going to see a great feature called Hits. Hits is very nice because, number one, it will allow you to see how many times your search terms are mentioned in that document. But also, after the number 27, I see a blue box with 1 arrow. This will allow me to quickly and easily jump to my search terms while I'm in the full text of this document. So if your search terms are peppered throughout the document, this will allow you to quickly and easily to get to your search terms while you're in the full text. And as you see here, the system went out and retrieved those cases that mention free speech or freedom of speech, one or the other. What I'm going to do now is go back to my default page, my home page. And on the second row, the first box allows you to look up a legal case. However, this only applies to cases found within the United States. And we allow you 3 different ways to look up a case found in the United States: by citation, by parties, and by topic. I'm going to start with the by citation, and I'm going to type in a legal citation for a case. And like most jurisdictions, a legal citation for a case in the United States consists of 3 parts. And you need all 3 parts. You need the first number, which is the first part, a number, and that represents the volume. The middle part is the abbreviation for the book. And in most jurisdictions, we call that book a reporter. Cases are published in a reporter. And the third and final part, which is also a number, that is the page. So you need all 3 parts: the volume, the abbreviation for the book / reporter, and the page. I'm going to click on my blue box that reads Go, and it's going to take us to that case. And one of the great features you're going to see at the very beginning of your cases is something called a case summary. And the case summary is just that, a summary of the case. It will give you the procedural history, an overview of the legal facts and the legal issues, and the outcome, What was the court's decision? What was the court's holding? I'm going to go back to my default page, and now I'm going to look up a case found in the United States by parties. And I'm going to look up the case called Miranda versus Arizona. In the United States, when you are arrested, once you are arrested, you have certain rights. You have a right to an attorney. You have a right to remain silent. And all of those rights are outlined in something that we call the Miranda Warning. And the Miranda warnings come from this case of Miranda v. Arizona. So I'm going to click on my blue box that reads Go, and this will allow me to look up a case by parties, the parties that were involved in that case. And here is that case, as I indicated before. In the United States, when an individual is arrested, they have certain rights. And one is a right to an attorney, a right to remain silent. And once again, at the very beginning of your case, you will see what we call a case summary. And the case summary is just that, a summary of the case. Procedural history, an overview of the legal facts and the legal issues and the outcome. What was the court's decision? What was the court's holding? I'm going to go back to my default page. And one of the great things about LexisNexis is that we give you the capability to do full text keyword searching, where you type in your search terms, and the system will go out and look in the full text of a document for your search terms. But we also give you the capability to do what we call segment searching or field searching, because sometimes you do not wish to look in the full text of a document. You want to look in a certain part, a certain field. Well, the by topic is just that. It is a segment search. I will not be looking in the full text of cases. I will be looking at a certain field, a certain part of cases. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to type in my free speech and First Amendment, and I'm using my AND connector. That AND connector is saying go out and look in a certain part of the document, which I will explain, a certain part of the document, and bring back those documents that mentions free speech and First Amendment. I'm going to click on my blue box that reads Go. I'm going to open up one of my documents. And once again, as I indicated before, your search terms will be in bold and in red. But what exactly is the system searching? Well, at the beginning of cases, you're going to see something called head notes. And in the legal world, in the United States, we love head notes. We love head notes for two major reasons. Number one, the head notes will allow you to quickly and easily identify the different legal topics, the different legal issues that are being addressed in that particular case. One of the things you have to understand when it comes to legal research and looking at cases is that 90% of the time, a case will be dealing with more than one legal topic, more than one legal issue. So the head notes will allow us to quickly and easily identify those different legal topics and those different legal issues. So I know that this particular case is dealing with criminal law and procedure, criminal offenses, miscellaneous offenses, cruelty to animals. I also know that this case involves criminal law, Bill of Rights, fundamental freedoms, freedom of speech. And if I went down a little further in my head notes, I would see that this case also deals with governments, legislation, interpretation. So One of the reasons why we like head notes is because they will allow us to easily and quickly identify the different legal topics, the different legal issues that are being addressed in that particular case. The second reason why we like head notes is because head notes are an enhancement. They are not part of the court's decision. And not only in the United States, but worldwide, you can only cite to the court's decision, the court's opinion. So if, for example, you really like head note number 5, where you see that HN5, right next to that HN5, we see a down arrow. If I click on that down arrow, this will take me right to the part of the case where this particular legal topic, this particular legal issue is being addressed. So this is where I would cite to. And here we see that HN5 for head note number 5 and an up arrow. If I click on that up arrow, it would take me back to my head notes. So on the default page, when you look up a case by topic, as I indicated before, you're not conducting a full text keyword search. You're conducting a segment search, a field search. You're only looking in the head notes, and head notes are found at the very beginning of cases. And as I indicated before, in the legal world, we love head notes because they allow us to quickly and easily identify the different legal topics, the different legal issues that are being addressed in that particular case. But more importantly, they allow us to go to the part of the case where that particular legal topic, that particular legal issue is being addressed. I'm going to go back to my default page. And now on the left side, you will see we have two options for legal research. We have U.S. legal and legal. I'm going to click on the U.S. legal so it will expand. And this will allow us to search legal resources related to the United States. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on federal and state cases. In the United States, we have two different court systems. We have our federal system, and then we have our state system. And in terms of searching, I can search all jurisdictions at one time, all federal and all state courts, or I can specify a court. I'm going to specify the U.S. Supreme Court. This is the highest court of our land. And I'm going to do research, once again, on free speech. But as I indicated before, free speech can also be known as freedom of speech. So where I see my and connector, we have a pull down. And this will allow you to see the different connectors. And I'm going to select that or connector. So the system will look for one or the other, free speech or freedom of speech. And also in the United States, we have something called the Bill of Rights. There are certain rights that we have as citizens of the United States. And one of those rights is freedom of speech. So I'm going to type in Bill of Rights. So right now, what I'm telling the system to do is to go out and only look in cases from the U.S. Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the United States, and look for the free speech or freedom of speech, one or the other, and Bill of Rights. So what I'm saying is that free speech or freedom of speech, one or the other must be in the document, but Bill of Rights must be in that document. So I'm going to run this search. And I'm going to open up my first case. And here you see in bold and red, free speech. Going to use my nice little hits. We see free speech. And here's my Bill of Rights. I'm going to go to the second document. And here we see Bill of Rights. sure I have my free speech. Or freedom of speech. And as you can see, also in this document, we have freedom of speech. Now, one of the great things about doing legal research, especially legal research in the United States, is that you have the capability to link to related documents within the legal materials. So, like all jurisdictions around the world, cases will cite to other cases. So if I would like to read any of these cases that the case is citing, that the court is citing, they are hypertext links. All I have to do is click on the hypertext link, and the system would take me right there to the full text of that case. So that's one of the great features you have available in conducting research, legal research in the United States, is the capability to link to related documents. I'm going to edit my search, and I want to point out a great feature, and the feature is landmark cases. I'm going to click on the hypertext link for landmark cases. And what we've done is we've created a list of just that, landmark U.S. Supreme Court cases. They're organized by topics. So if I scroll down till I get to right to attorney, meaning, as I said before, when you get arrested, one of the rights that you have in the United States is a right to an attorney, which is that 1966 case of Miranda v. Arizona. So if I click on this hypertext link, this would take me to that case, that landmark U.S. Supreme Court case of Miranda v. Arizona. I'm going to edit my search. And what I want to talk about now is that on LexisNexis Academic, you're going to have what we call legislation, statutes. And one of the things I want you to be aware of is that statutes are codified, not just in the United States, but that's a global concept. Codification, codified. Basically what that means is that we put laws together by their subject matter, by topics. So because laws are put together by their subject matters, by their topic, that's a great way to look at your statutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, on the left side, click on where it reads Federal Statutes, Codes, and Regulations. And now I want to take a look at my federal statutes, which are the United States Code. And at the very end, you see a hypertext link that reads Browse. I'm going to click on that hypertext link that reads Browse because, as I said before, statutes are codified. We put them together by their subject matter. All of the laws for marriage are put together. All of the laws for education are put together. They're organized by topics. So one of the great ways to take a look at your statutes is a browsing capability, basically browsing through the table of content. I'm going to point and click on the box with the plus sign in front of Title VII, which is agriculture, so that Title VII will expand. And in Title VII, we will see all the different chapters. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Chapter 11, Honeybees. And once I click on the box with the plus sign in front of Chapter 11, it will expand. And now, in a matter of 2 clicks, I have all of the federal statutes for the United States that deal with honeybees. And just so you know, we have honeybee importation. And I'm going to click on that Section 821. And just so you know, by the authority of the Secretary of Agriculture, it is prohibited or restricted the importation of honeybees and honeybee semen into the United States. And this is not something that the United States does. It's something that most countries will do when you start trying to bring in other agricultural items from other countries. Most countries will prohibit just because of disease, fear of spread of disease. So this is something that's a very common practice throughout the world. But once again, as I indicated before, what's great about doing legal research is the capability to link to related documents, related resources. So if I want to go to any of these secondary sources, I can click on the hypertext link, and this will allow me to go to that document. So that's one of those great features about doing legal research online, is the capability to link to related document, related information. What I'm going to do now is go back to legal, U.S. legal. And now what I want to talk about is a very important feature in U.S. legal research, and it is called Shepard's. Shepard's is what we use in the United States to check the validity of a case, to make sure that a case is still good law. Because not only in the United States, but once again, this is a global concept, you may only cite to good precedent. We do not cite to bad precedent, or should I say bad law. We only cite to good law, good precedent. And as I always tell people, and once again, this concept is not only in the United States, but this is a global concept, is that it's not about old and new. It's about good and bad. In the legal world, we only cite to good law, good precedent. So we use Shepard's to check the validity of a case, to make sure that case is still good law. Because if it isn't good law, we cannot cite to it. We cannot use it. So I'm going to click on my Shepard citation. I'm going to type in a citation. And once again, as before, a legal citation consists of 3 parts, and you need all 3 parts. That first number, which is the volume. The middle part is the abbreviation for the book or the reporter. And the third and final part, which is also a number, is the page. So we use Shepard's to check the validity of a case. And at the very beginning of your Shepard's, you're going to see a nice Shepard summary. And what this Shepard summary is going to do is give you a quick overview of what has happened to this case. Now, I need for you to understand that there are 2 things that would make a case bad law in the United States, 2 treatments. And those 2 treatments are overturned, overruled, reverse, reversal. So, 2 treatments that would make a case bad law: overturned / overruled, reverse, reversal. Now, at the beginning, as I indicated, you're going to see this wonderful case, this wonderful Shepard summary. And this is going to give you a quick summary of what has happened to the case of Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade has been overruled twice. Roe v. Wade has been questioned 6 times. How do I know it's been questioned 6 times? Because next to questioned, I see the number 6. Roe v. Wade has been followed. It has been followed 228 times. Roe v. Wade has been cited in 11,369 law reviews. Now, I just explained to you that we use Shepard's to check the validity of a case, to make sure that case is still good law. Because if it isn't good law, we cannot cite to it. We cannot use it, because we only cite to good precedent, good law. But I also said there are 2 things that would make a case bad law: overturned / overruled, reverse / reversal. But one of the things I need for you to understand is just because you see overruled, you cannot safely assume that the entire case is bad law. Because sometimes what the court will do is only overturn, only overrule part of a case. So on a case, you're going to see what we call the disposition. And the disposition may read something like this: affirmed in part, overruled in part. But basically what the court was saying was it agreed with one legal aspect of that case, but it disagreed with another legal aspect. So when you see that a case has been overturned, overruled, this is where you have to go read that case to do the analysis to see how was that case overturned, overruled. Because like I said before, sometimes it is overruled in part. And here you will see I have the capability to go to the exact page where Roe v. Wade is being overturned, overruled in part. Here you see a hypertext link to page 146, 1626, and 52. If I clicked on that hypertext link for page 146, the system would take me to the exact page, 146, where Roe v. Wade is being overturned, overruled in part. So I can read and find out what part of Roe v. Wade has been overruled. So, as I indicated before, Shepard's is a critical part of the legal research process in the United States. We use it to check the validity of a case, to make sure that case is still good law. Because if it isn't good law, we cannot cite to it. We cannot use it. I want you to be aware that there is a second way that you may use Shepard's. So the first way we took a look at was the Shepard citation. But if you're reading a case, I'm going to go back to my landmark cases. I'm going to click on Roe v. Wade. If you're reading a case and you would like to Shepardize that case, I want to point out that on the case, over on the left side, you're going to see a hypertext link that reads Shepardize. We've turned Shepard's into a verb. People would say, go Shepardize this case, meaning use Shepard's to check the validity of a case, to make sure that case is still good law. So if I click on that hypertext link for Shepardize, this would take us to Shepard's, what we just saw a few seconds ago. Where we saw is overruled twice, followed 228 times. In the legal world, I need for you to understand that we divide our resources into two different categories. Number one, what we like to refer to as primary sources. In primary sources, they are the laws. Primary sources are cases, statutes, codes, and regulations. So, with primary sources, they are the laws. The second category is what we call secondary sources. Secondary sources are not the laws, but they can be very beneficial. Secondary sources will be law reviews and law journals and legal reference. What I'm going to do at this time is I'm going to click on legal, because this will allow us to search sources outside of U.S. legal research. And one of those options we have is law reviews and law journals. And like I said, law reviews and law journals are a secondary source, but we like law reviews and law journals because they will lead us to our primary sources. So in terms of searching law reviews and law journals, under legal, you will see a number of different jurisdictions: Asia, Canadian, Brazilian, U.S., or European and U.K. I'm going to search my European and U.K. And at this time, if I wanted to, I could search everywhere, which is a full text keyword search. But remember what I said before. On LexisNexis Academic, we also give you the capability to do segment searching, field searching, which can be very beneficial. And when I'm searching my law reviews and my law journals, the segment that I like to search is the title. Because the concept is, if my search terms are mentioned in the title, I know it's going to be more relevant, more on point. So I'm going to do my free speech or or freedom of speech. So I'm telling the system to look in the title, and just the title of these law reviews in law journals, and look for one or the other, free speech or First Amendment. And once again, the concept is, if my search terms are mentioned in the title, I know that document's going to be more relevant, more on point to my research. So our very first law review, in the title, we see free speech. I'm going to go to my second document, and in the title, we see freedom of speech. I'm going to edit my search, and I want you to be aware that we have case law from different jurisdictions. So I see case law from Canada, but I also, where you see EU, Commonwealth, and other nations, this will allow me to search case law from different jurisdictions. And in this box, you will see I can do, of course, European case law, cases from Hong Kong, Asia, New Zealand. If I want to search just the UK, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just search UK cases. I'm going to unclick my European Union. And this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in Bill of Rights, because Bill of Rights is a concept that goes outside of the United States. Most people think in the United States that the Bill of Rights is just a concept that applies only to us, but many countries have Bill of Rights. And basically what Bill of Rights are, there are certain rights that you have. Like in the United States, the Bill of Rights, some of the rights that we have is freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press. So there are many countries that have Bill of Rights where you have certain rights within your country. I'm going to point and click on my search. In this way, I would see cases from different jurisdictions, UK cases. So if I wanted to see only those cases for English, Wales cases, that's a hypertext link I can click on. Open up my first document, and you see that in this document we see Bill of Rights. There is a feature that I do want you to be aware of. Up at the top on the left side, because this document is in English, please do not forget about Google Translate. And this will allow you to translate any document into 70 different languages. So if I want to see this document in Arabic, I can just select Arabic. And now the document is in Arabic. If I want to see this document in Italian, I can select Italian, and now the document is in Italian. If I want to see this document in Turkish, I can select Turkish, and now it's in Turkish. So I want you to be aware, and I'm just going to go back to my default page, my home page. And I'm going to go get a case, once again, by parties, that case that I went to go retrieve earlier, which is Miranda v. Arizona. Click on my blue box that reads Go. And once again, I'm going to open up a document, document number 3. Once again, want to point out that Google Translate. So, and because the last thing I selected was Turkish, it's still in Turkish. So, English, Arabic, let me try that again. Arabic now, Italian. So please be aware that you can translate these documents to a number of different languages, over 70 different languages. This is the end of this presentation. Thank you.